It's here. What experience or knowledge is required to do your job? So.
All right. So I have to have extensive general knowledge of live show production equipment, like lighting and audio and video and staging. And experience is, the experience in using them. So in being able to operate all the equipment and to set it up safely, and being able to program it. And so a lot of that you learn by doing it.
Hands-on?
Pardon?
Like
Hands-on, very hands-on, yeah. And that's actually kind of a characteristic of a lot of people who go into live show production, is that they learn best by having their hands on the gear. They don't learn best by sitting and listening in a classroom. They do much better if they're manipulating the light, if they're running the cable, if they're figuring out the electrical load on the spot on the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. What if you were entering this career today? Would you change your preparation? Or wait, 1 second. What if you were entering this career today? What would you change? Your preparation in any way to facilitate entry?
Yes. The live show production has changed a huge amount between now and when I was in college. It has become much more computer driven, and there's a lot more automation. It has become much more complicated. So I would have definitely minored in computer science instead of, I know I minored in philosophy because I like it, but it would have done me more good professionally to have a minor in computer science, or to have examined engineering a bit. For structural engineering and things like that, because when you take a look at things like Cirque du Soleil and the technology they use in that, very, very, very engineering and computer driven. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, at the time that I was training for this, there was no such thing as a live show production major or school. It simply didn't exist.
Okay.
And if you wanted to do this, if you wanted to do anything having to do with stage technology, you had to get into a theater program. And almost every theater program made even the technicians sing, dance, and act, which was awful. I hated doing that.
Wow.
With every fiber of my being, I hated doing that.
Wow.
And so I'm really glad now that there are so many programs where the live show production, the technician, is separate from the acting program.
Okay. Wow, that sounds like you had to go through a lot in order to get in.
Yeah, I had to sing, dance, and act. I'm so glad we don't have to do that anymore. Yeah.
And what did they call it? What did they call those classes back then? What?
They were technical theater, is what they called them.
Technical theater. So you were doing like the stuff that, in order to act and all that, you were learning.
I had to do that during my first 2 years. Yeah. Wow. In addition to the tech stuff, and then in my junior year, I finally convinced them that I didn't have any talent for singing, dancing, or acting, so they weren't begging me to be on the stage anyway, and that was perfectly okay with me. I didn't want to be there. So, and I actually had to shape some of my curriculum myself, because things just didn't exist for someone who wanted to be solely a tech major.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And third one, what advice would you give someone thinking about this career?
Okay. One, don't be afraid to volunteer, because you can get a lot of hands-on experience that way by helping out with, like if your church has some audio and video and lighting that they need help with, jump in and help out. It is a great place to get hands-on and learn stuff. If you're not someone who goes to a church, or your church doesn't have that stuff, there are a couple of community theaters that do look for volunteers. And you have to look pretty hard. They're not really excited to have someone who has no experience with tools or working at heights to work in their spaces, but if you get some experience here as a student, then you're going to be really valuable to them, and then you can get a lot of practice. But don't volunteer for too long, because it's the stuff that you're volunteering for, you could be getting paid for once you have some experience. So, and if you see a job posting, if you see a job posting that for a theater technician, or an entertainment technician or a live show technician or an AV technician. If you see a job posting for any of those and you have 60 to 70% of the qualifications that they're asking for, go ahead and apply for it. Take a chance and apply for it. And make sure that you shape your resume and your cover letter to reflect that you're working in that direction.
Okay.
The thing is about it is that there's so much demand for what we're doing now.
Really?
Yes, there is, especially in AV, in live AV events, that especially the ones that happen in connection with expos and conventions. There is a ton of opportunity. So they may not start you in that position that you applied for, but they need people so badly that they're probably going to give you a chance to learn on the job and to work with them. So I would say put yourself out there. Don't look at a job posting and go, oh, I only have 6 out of 10 of those. I can't apply. I would say, yay, I have at least 6 out of 10. I'm going to go ahead and apply.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there specific agencies for that, or how does a person go into like seeking a career or looking for a job in that type of field?
A lot of different ways, and there's some things that I always tell people to exercise caution because there's a lot of small mom and pop production companies. So and a lot of people are just happy to bring you in and bring you on board. And some of those smaller mom and pop companies maybe don't have the highest safety standards and things like that.
Okay.
But there's lots of big companies like PSAV in Freeman, and there's other companies. Those are the 2 big ones that pop to mind. And what they're always looking for is people to go on an overhire list, meaning you can apply to them. They may not have a part-time job available for you at that moment, but they'll have you on a list where they can call you when they need to bring in extra hands from what they already have.
Right.
And people frequently move from the overhire list to the part-time list, and then from the part-time list to the full-time. Yep. And people generally work their way up through that, and that's absolutely entry-level stuff. And yeah, there's quite a lot of it. There's other things you can do too. If you're very interested in theater, you can take a look at the Rep that's up the street here or some other places and look for their job postings. But just about every organization has a web page, and just about every web page has a list of job contacts.
Okay.
Or rather, job postings that they're looking for that you can apply for, and you can get into their system that way.
Okay.
You can cold apply, and I've seen people get results from that. But even better than cold applying is to make sure that you are building your network while you're here in school. A lot of the students who go to school right now are actually working right now at PSAV, and they're working at some of the nightclubs around town and things like that, or at Freeman, or in the theme parks and live show production in the theme parks. So I haven't had great luck just putting my resume in cold at the theme parks. With all my experience and everything, it simply didn't pop, and I don't know why. But when I got my resume into the hands of a person who could actually hire me, they made me go ahead and apply through the regular portal. But I eventually did get hired there because I knew a person there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they knew what I could do. They had been stopping by here at Valencia for years to see me as tech director doing the work that I was doing. They're like, you should apply at Disney. And I said, do they have anything in puppets? And and they said, yeah. So send me your resume, and it all happened from there.
Right.
So yeah, this is one of the few places in the country that you can expect to find an ad and apply for it and have a reasonable chance of getting the job.